Welcome to Experiences You Should Have, your how-to guide for amazing experiences. Hi, this is Gail, and I'm going to be talking with Jim Sims about his experience of cycling from Jasper National Park to Banff National Park in Canada. And just imagine yourself on the roads between these parks, and you're on a bike with a group of people. You've got a car following you if you get tired. And you see mountains just jutting up as you turn various corners on the road. And then sometimes you might see lakes that have like that deep teal, blue, green to them, which just pleases your eyes. And then you stop at your own pace and take different hikes to check out views off the beaten path where the tourists aren't. And at the end of the day, you gather and tell stories with new friends that you meet at hostels along the way and prepare food together. I mean, this is an experience of camaraderie with the beautiful nature of Canada and Jasper and Banff. I mean, it's hard to beat that. Let's find out how to make this experience happen with Jim here. I am here with Jim Sims, and we are talking about the experience of cycling from Jasper to Banff.
That's right.
Tell me a little bit about this cycling experience.
Jasper to Banff is about 410 kilometers. You start in Jasper. We had a group of 10, 11 people, and our tour was, we employed Adventure Tours out of Edmonton, but we did it through our cycle club. It was a road ride. It was 4.5 days long, and overnight we stopped at hostels along the way.
Wow. Was this your first hostel experience, or tell me a little bit more about that?
It was my first hostel experience. The hostels up there are certainly very clean, but they're quite primitive, but a real pleasure to go in and a positive experience. And when you're cycling, they're very handy. You can get the proper night's sleep, plus you can get up and get away in the morning without any fuss.
Yeah. So what were some of your favorite places to see while you're cycling from Jasper to Banff?
There are a lot. I guess the overwhelming impact are just the stunning mountains. As you come down, you climb up into you cross the mountains, actually. You climb up into Bow Summit, and then you descend down into Lake Louise, and then on to Banff. And so the amazing thing was getting up. Sometimes at a couple of hostels, you had to actually go down to the water to brush your teeth, and then you got ready, but it was just so beautiful to see the sun coming over the mountains as you started cycling. You started out with every stitch of clothing you had with you on, and within a couple of hours you were down to just short sleeves and your cycle shorts, and you were in the sunshine, and away you went. So the views were really amazing. There are, of course, any number of key tourist sites along the way. There are like Sunwapta Falls, Athabasca Falls are just spectacular falls. The canyons that the water has worn through the rocks are in the neighborhood of 100 feet deep, and there's areas where you can go in and look at them. You can see the old road at times and go in and look under the bridges and see some of these roads. And of course, there are like Pado Lake is in every tourist magazine going, and at the top you go through the ice fields, so you're right there. You could actually stop and take the bus ride right up onto the ice fields. Brewster offers that service. We didn't. We cycled right through, but the glaciers are right there, so you're right at the level of the glaciers, and
Wow.
kind of on a practical perspective, the road is generally pretty good, with generally a good solid shoulder, a paved shoulder, which is key when you're riding a road bike, because a road bike has such thin tires that you wouldn't want to have gravel or a messy roadside, and you don't
Right.
like to ride in the lane and take up a lane. So it's really very good overall from that perspective. It makes it a safe ride.
Now, what's the best time of year to do this ride?
And needless to say, in the summer, the weather is probably, being in the mountains, I guess you could generally say not predictable, but from late spring to early fall would be a good guess. You have to go prepared for the elements, like any outdoor activity. You got to go prepared for the elements, but you can go prepared, and the support vehicle carries all your luggage. So you're only riding with maybe a rain top if you think it might be required, and maybe a bit of lunch. I took fruit and so on that you can buy along the way, and that's all. Just you and your bicycle and a tire repair kit. And basically the support vehicle has everything else.
Wow. Now, what if you don't have a fancy road bike? Can you rent a bike to do this 4-day trip?
I think certainly you could rent a bike in Edmonton. The trip starts in Calgary with a bus ride from Calgary to Jasper.
Got it.
Renting a bike in Calgary would make the most sense because it would be the least expensive. As soon as you get into Jasper, the price doubles. So you could rent a bike there, yes, and have it fitted and try it out there before you actually take the ride.
Now, I ride my bike around town. I've never ridden a very long way. What would you say are skills that I would need to have, or others would need to have before embarking on this 4-day cycling journey?
You need to be able to ride a bicycle. It's a ride. It's not a race. So you go along at your own pace. That having been said, I did a couple of rides of 100 kilometers before I went on the ride.
Okay.
But my wife cycles as well, and though she didn't go on the trip, her solution is riding a spin cycle, and what she says is toughening up her behind so that you can sit on a bicycle seat for 8 hours.
Okay, so you're cycling for 8 hours a day.
You're cycling a good part of the day, yes. Yeah. Not maybe 8 hours. Say 6 to 7 hours. Yeah, but not all in one shot. It's broken up. You get up, you cycle for a couple of hours, you stop and look at some sights, you cycle a little more. We did a couple of hikes. There were a couple of ridges that are really cool. So you just stop and you hike the ridge like a couple of kilometers up and back, and then you come back and get on your bicycle and away you go. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And you mentioned Lake Louise earlier, and I've seen photos, but how can you truly describe the color of Lake Louise?
It's very picturesque. Of course, it is green. It's the amazing mountains and the magnitude of the mountains and just the views that are really amazing. You don't actually see Lake Louise unless you took a side trip and actually went in there. There's really no advantage to doing that because you've seen gorgeous lakes just as nice all along that
Oh, wow.
that are right on the road. Just spectacular lakes, mountain lakes.
I always thought Lake Louise was like the lake. There's a lot more to see.
Oh no! Lake Louise is Lake Louise actually it only got popular because the chateau is right on one end of the lake, and there's a glacier on the other end, and there is a trail that you can walk around, but cyclists don't tend to go in there because it's not cyclist compatible. The trails are gravel and it's kind of off the beaten trail. We went through the town of Lake Louise. We stopped there. There's a little kind of like a bakery that has really good stuff. It's a real treat when you always try to stop there. And they have.
You know the name of the bakery?
No, not offhand.
Okay.
But there's the town of Lake Louise is one small strip mall. That's it. And then a couple of hotels around, or lodges around, and a gas station. That's Lake Louise. Then the road goes down to the chateau, and the road goes the other way up the hill to the ski hill. So Lake Louise, like that's where we stopped, and we all stopped. It was a cooler morning. We all stopped in there and had coffee and a bite to eat, and then we continued on our way. And everybody was excited because that was going to be the last leg of the trip. So it was our last day. We were kind of excited, and we'd be home in another 50 kilometers, and we were going to be home.
Wow! And did you see any interesting wildlife on this?
Not a lot. We had at a place called Parker Ridge, we stopped, and I was taking pictures of the signs to identify the trip as I went along. And we stopped to take a picture of the sign, and this fox came right out and came right up to us. And obviously, he'd been fed by tourists because he came right up within 6 feet of us, and he kind of looked at us. And when he saw we had no food for him, he just turned around and trotted off very casually. But he looked really good. You always see mountain goats. You can see bears. You don't really always want to see bears, but you can see them. You're in national parks the whole way, so that's always a possibility. And that's usually there's a huge herd of elk right outside of Banff. So elk is also the odds of seeing an elk or a number of them is reasonably good. So that's all you'd see, though.
So sounds interesting.
So yeah.
Now, 4-day cycling. You're staying in hostels. What's the cost of this trip on approximately?
Okay, the upfront cost that we paid, if you go through a club called Elbow Valley Cycle Club.
Elmo Valley.
Elbow.
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 Oh, Elbow. Elbow
Valley Cycle Club.
Cycle Club. Okay.
The Elbow River runs through Calgary, so that's where the name comes from.
Okay,
It's
Elbow River.
Elbow Valley Cycle Club. EVCC. Google that. You'll see the information. If you go with them, it cost us $650. And what that represents,
pretty good.
That was really good. What that covered was the support vehicle to take us from Calgary to Jasper, all the hostel costs, and the support vehicle to follow us, and
what does the support vehicle offer?
The support vehicle offers two things. Offers a trailer that carries your luggage. Let's say you have you on one of the days that's about 100 kilometers. Let's say you get a blister, 50 kilometers in. You hang your bike up in the trailer and you can ride in the van.
Oh wow! That sounds like my kind of trip.
It's a proper van. So if you find it too much any given day, the support vehicle is always behind the last cyclist. So no one is ever left stranded, so yeah, but there is a funny story to that. On our last night, I think it was called Mosquito Creek Hostel is where we were supposed to stop, and Mosquito Creek crossed the road and went down like this. But there's a Mosquito Creek campground, and we were told, don't stop at the campground, it's past the campground. Okay, that's what we were told. And so, but Mosquito Creek is right there. So we're going down. The fellow that I had, that I was kind of cycling with, though you get separated along the road and then you meet and so on. But he had gone ahead. He said, I'll go ahead, you guys catch up to me. So we were figuring we would catch up to him. We got to Mosquito Creek. 100 feet past Mosquito Creek is a sign for the Mosquito Creek Hostel. And it was a day where we should have done 70 kilometers. He went straight through. He went all the way to Lake Louise and then turned around. So he was over 100 kilometers at the end of the day. And he didn't have to cycle back, because as soon as we said, whoa, Dale is missing, and there's only one way he went, and that's he missed the sign, the support vehicle went after him and found him down towards Lake Louise and said, hey, by the way, we're sleeping back another 30 clicks. So he brought him back with his bicycle, and then we started out again in Mosquito Creek. So there's tremendous backup, like nothing can go wrong.
That's really nice.
You just, and if you are tired, you get in the support vehicle, and the bike racks in the trailer are excellent, so you're all set.
So 30 clicks, what do you mean by 30 clicks?
Oh, sorry, 30 kilometers.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
Sorry.
American.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
That would only be about 30. That would only be about 20 miles.
Yeah.
So it's not far at all.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
400 kilometers is only 160 would be 200 and something miles. So it's not far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sounds incredible.
Yeah.
So if you want to arrive to Jasper a little bit early and spend some time in Jasper, or if you want to linger around in Banff at the end, what are your options for lodging?
In Jasper, Jasper's a small town. It's pretty limited, but just a little bit east of Jasper is Hinton, and Hinton is between Jasper and Hinton. There are a number of pretty reasonably priced accommodation, and depending on the time of year, and you can just Google whatever's available. You can find that out with Travelocity or whatever, whatever the travel.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so there are places like that, but there are certainly, like specifically Mount Edith Cavell is an absolutely amazing mountain. You can actually drive up it if you go that way. It's or get a trip, somebody to take you up, like a little tour bus. If you were there a week ahead, that's a must see. It's just breathtaking. You see where the glacier has left the gravel as it has receded, and you can climb up on it. It's stunning, and it's one of the higher mountains in the area. So, and obviously the views from the top are stunning as well.
Oh, wow.
So that's something you could do ahead. And then there are 2 hostels in Jasper. One's right in town, and one's a little bit outside. And you could stay at either, because we stayed at the one outside of town, but the fellows in the morning, some of them that didn't have their own food with them, just went into Jasper and had ate and then went back, and then we headed on our way. So it kind of accommodates the people that don't bring any food with them, or people that like to bring certain food and keep their diet on what they're used to.
Now, what's the best airport to fly into to go to Jasper?
Probably Edmonton International. So that would, but if they went with the Elbow Valley tour, it would be Calgary International.
Okay.
Because Calgary's close to where the starting point would be, and then you could get the bus right there, and it gives you an opportunity to get used to talk to the people that are going, and kind of
Sort of bond before the trip.
Get used to it, and get a feeling for who you might cycle with. But usually when you start out, it becomes pretty obvious who paces about the same as you do, and then you go from there.
Got it. So anything else you'd like to share of what to do maybe around Banff or a site that you must see on this cycling trip?
Like in the mountains, there's amazing scenery, breathtaking scenery the whole way. We haven't talked about the elevation gain, and that's pretty important. You climb about total ascent climbing, which is you may descend afterwards, but then you climb again. So your total ascent climbing is about between 2,000 and 3,000 meters.
Oh, wow.
So there is a good bit of climbing.
That's some good exercise there. You're going to earn your dinner.
There is. But there are some obviously some descents as well. And to be honest, the descents can be more challenging than the climbs, because
Really?
the climbs, you put it in a low gear, and usually you're often your lowest gear, and you can just pace yourself and plod away. And the worst scenario is you're probably going about between 10 and 12 kilometers to propel yourself. The downhill, you have to watch your speed. You can easily get speeds of 80 kilometers or 50 miles an hour.
Oh, wow.
And unless you're used to a bicycle, that's probably too fast for you. It's something you need to be careful and watch your speed. You can, but like I say, you just have to watch it. And today, now with the disc brakes, it really makes it a lot easier. It's much easier to control your speed if you're sitting with disc brakes.
So a disc brake, is that different from just your normal hand brake?
No, they're hand brakes, but they're a disc on the wheel, and some road bikes have them. Some hybrids have them. I think they're better brakes than the caliper brakes, or V brakes. Like that's a modified version of the caliper brakes. My road bike has caliper brakes, and I was fine. Just something you have to watch. You have whatever kind of brakes you have, you just have to have them in good working order.
Got it.
But I did find Heather got a new bike, and she
Heather's
finds
your wife.
Heather's my wife. Yeah, sorry. And she rides with disc brakes, and she's a lot happier with it. She's a little apprehensive, so that gives her really good confidence that she's going to stop if she has to.
Got it.
And that's kind of the difference.
That's really good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, anything else you'd like to share?
I think that pretty well covers it. Elbow Valley Cycle Club, EVCC, has information on the website. Their ride is in August, but Adventure Tours also, I bet, has a website in Edmonton, and they can be contacted to just have, if a family wanted to go or if a club wanted to go, they'd be more than happy to accommodate, and they could offer the exact same thing with the same kind of pricing, because we just work with them.
That sounds great, and I'll make sure that all this information and links are in the show notes.
Okay.
Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.